Bradford schoolboy who had made money trading in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency was kidnapped and bundled into a car by a gang who demanded £10,000 for his return. The 14-year-old was confronted outside Mahmood's takeaway in Leeds Road in Bradford on May the 9th. One of the kidnappers put his hands over the boy's mouth. He was punched and forced into the back of Mohammed Khubaib's Toyota Auris. Prosecutor Laura McBride told Bradford Crown Court that Khubaib activated the vehicle's central locking while the boy was sat between two men in the rear of the Auris, and the victim claimed Khubaib then struck him in the face with a glove filled with sand. While he was in the car with the four men, the terrified boy was told he would have to ring his mum and tell her to hand over £10,000 or her son wouldn't be going home. The boy's mother was called and she described how the kidnappers demanded money and the son was crying. The prosecutor said it was agreed the mother would give the men £900 and she came out of her home to hand over the cash when Khubaib drove the Auris to the boy's home. The terrifying ordeal was then reported to the police and Khubaib from Bradford was arrested a few days later. He pleaded guilty to charges of kidnap and blackmail, but the court heard the three other men involved had not been identified or prosecuted. Khubaib was jailed for 4 years after the Recorder of Bradford, Judge Richard Mansell QC, said the youngster had clearly been targeted by the men because social media posts had suggested he made a reasonable amount of money from trading in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency. So the barrister for Khubaib, Shafkat Khan, said his client, who had been in custody since May, was now learning the hard way that you are the company you keep. He submitted that his client had been carried along by more criminally minded associates, but the Judge Mansell suggested that Khubaib was a prime mover in the offence because he had been watching the boy in the takeaway. The court heard the victim was no longer living in Bradford, and Judge Mansell said the offending had resulted in profound consequences for the youngster and his family. The judge explained that Khubaib would have been jailed for 5 years after a trial, but his guilty plea and other matters meant the sentence could be reduced to 4 years. Detective Constable Paul Maxwell of Bradford's safeguarding team said, "We welcome the sentence which has been passed down to Khubaib today at court. He pleaded guilty to both counts and was charged in May. The victim was a young teenager of 14 years old. He was vulnerable to criminal exploitation and Khubaib tried to exploit him for money. This was an incredibly distressing incident for both the victim and the victim's mother, but thankfully both were not injured during the incident and have been given help and support by police and partner agency." So there's two things I want to mention here. The first thing is being a 22-year-old, getting your boys and kidnapping a 14-year-old boy for 900 quid. Seriously? To put this into context, let's just say you didn't have a job. 900 quid, what's that? 3-4 months worth of job seekers allowance, and you'll end up doing 4. Well, you'll end up doing 2 years. Was it worth it? And the second thing I want to mention is, especially going out to the youngsters nowadays, if you've got something, there's always this urge or this need to let other people know, whether it's in your own circle, but most of the time it happens on social media. If you're eating in fancy restaurants, or you got the nicest clothes on, or you got the latest technology, or you're just probably flashing the cash. Because essentially what you're doing here is you're showing off with what you've got. Now, I ain't really got an issue with that. If showing off gives you that self-certification and psychologically makes you feel that, you know what, you've achieved something in life, then that's great. However, what you need to be wary of is the people that are watching you showing off. And there's people out there probably within your own circle that burn when they see you succeed or doing something good in life. So my advice to you guys would be, just stay humble. Have everything you want. Go get whatever you want. Go live your dreams. But always remain humble. And always remember this, it's most likely going to be people within your own circle that are going to be out there to get you. Probably not directly, but indirectly, they're going to have some involvement. Stay safe out there, guys. It's your boy GC. Keep it locked, keep it real.